Hi, I'm Kelvin Weston-Green from Vaughan Irrigators. I'd like to introduce you to our standard irrigator. We call this our 20-acre package irrigator. So with a firefighter or something like that, you've got a 20-acre irrigator. This little irrigator has been around for close on 20 years, and we've sold thousands of them throughout this country and overseas. We've got a strong box-shaped frame. We have a cable drum here with 200 metres of cable, and we have steam pipe arms, which are a thicker wall base that we hot dip as well, so it gets an internal coating of galvanising. So that makes it perfect for not only distributing effluent, but also for general watering. Through the back of the irrigator and up the riser and along the pipe and through the outer arm on an angle makes the arm rotate in such a fashion. When it rotates, this cam comes around and strikes this roller bearing. This roller bearing's on a rocker arm and the arm rocks. So once that strikes the roller bearing, the arm will rock backwards and forwards and in turn winding the cable drum up. We can adjust the stroke of that rocker arm by simply adjusting a pin here with 4 simple holes. We can move that pin. Now as that arm moves backwards and forwards like such, the stroke of this pawl at the back here is changed. So we can move that pawl 1, 2, 3 or 4 teeth at a time. Another feature of this irrigator is the automatic shut-off system. You'll notice here on the cable there's a cable clamp. This cable clamp can't run through the cable guide. This rod actually pushes through and pushes the roller bearing away from the cam. So now when this rotates, it's not going to strike the cam and therefore the irrigator stops walking. We can also put on an automatic shut-off valve that shuts the water off. So if you have a gravity feed situation where you're feeding out of a dam, then you'll also be able to shut the water off and then you're not wasting precious water. The other reason you'd have an automatic shut-off valve would be if you were operating off a pressure pump and you wanted the pump to shut down. But on a normal diesel motor or electric motor that's not fitted with such a device, you only really want to shut off the walking mechanism and the water will keep flowing. In those situations you would put a timer on your pumps and then the pump would shut down when the irrigator stops. If, for example, there's something goes wrong with your irrigator, it's very easy to see what it is. And it may be that a pin has come out or a loose bolt or a weld has broken, so you can fix it easily. If you want to be getting rid of dairy effluent or from piggeries, we have an effluent nozzle, conical shaped rubber nozzle, quite soft, so that if you get matter coming through in a clump, this will expand and allow the solid to pass. We used to make our irrigators with a Y here for smoother flow. We'd have the water coming up and there would be a smooth flow through here, but we found that we were getting more blockages because of that. We realised that what was happening in this tee was that the matter was coming up through the drive pipe here and it was actually smashing up and smashing out through the pipe. So we went back to this because it became a factor in stopping some of the blockages. The only maintenance really required is, besides greasing the grease bearings, there's a little V rubber seal. In this section here, in the inlet flange, we have a V rubber seal. This is what the seal looks like. It's just a normal rubber irrigation flume that you can buy at any irrigation shop. So to change this seal, all you need to do is undo these 2 bolts. This whole coupling will come off and this seal will be inside. You put your finger inside this part, pull the old seal out and reseat the new seal, and it goes in this way. You'll have one of these caps which is a blank off cap. That cap will be protecting this end thread for travel, and this other cap will be on the other end of the irrigator. This is only a blank off cap with a hole drilled in it. It can be used as a nozzle, so you can go to your local plumbing store, buy half a dozen of these, drill different size holes in them for different size nozzles. So that's one size nozzle that you'll receive with your irrigator. The second nozzle with this particular nozzle is just a nut from a nut and tail set, and it has a rubber washer inserted into it. You do get a spare set of washers here which are a different size as well. So in all you get 3 different size nozzles with your irrigator. You'll notice on this particular irrigator we have a short arm and a long arm. We've put a counterweight on the short arm to compensate for what we've cut off compared to the long arm. As the arms rotate, it's watering a circle and the circle moves. and you would think that you would get even coverage with a moving circle. However, the water on the outside of the circle stays out there longer. It's got a longer path to travel than the water at the front or the very back. So by cutting the arm shorter, it throws a little bit shorter. So the water in front and back of the irrigator will remain the same. However, on the sides, you're going to have a wider path with less water on it. This enables the whole area to be covered in a much more even coverage of water. The ideal pressure of the irrigator is about 25 psi at the base of the irrigator, but it will operate between about 10 psi and 90 psi. It will come on a pallet and you'll have a bundle of arms. It'll be these two arms and these two rods. This riser here will be not connected, so you'll have the box frame of the irrigator, the back axle, the wheels won't be on the back axle, and you'll also have this front wheel. That'll be assembled, but it won't be in the main frame. First thing to do is to put your wheels on the axles simply by sliding a split pin through a hole. Both wheels are put on the axle. Then place the back axle into the cradle at the back here, and then put the front wheel on. Then your irrigator will be standing in a position similar to this. The next step is putting this riser on. The bearings will already be attached to the riser, so it's just a matter of slipping the 4 bolts through, doing them up, but don't do them up tight, just do them up until they're just slightly nipped. Put the bolts through the back of the axle and put this inlet flange on. There's a spacer there, and the reason the spacer's there is because when you do these bolts up, now this is very important, you've got to make sure that this riser turns freely. Just nip up these other 4 bolts and make sure that it's still turning freely. Screwing in with thread tape these 2 arms and putting these 2 support rods on. When you put the support rods on, just lift the arm gently and tighten this other one up. This will give the arm just a slight rise, and that's what you want. And you can easily turn this arm up and down to adjust the rotation. By lowering it down this way, the irrigator will spin quicker. By raising it up that way, it'll slow the rotation down. Now, 1 revolution should take between 3 and 5 seconds. So you lift that up, making sure that it's behind that bolt, and then you can freely pull your cable out. Cable's pulled out and then anchored, and that will be ready to go once you come back and drop these pawls down. If you need to track in a dead straight line for vegetable crops, or maybe a levee bank or something like that where it can wander, because these wander just a little bit, but if you have to have it, twin front steer system's the way to go. We also have maize extensions, so you can water maize or corn. We also have what we call a sump master cam. Sump master cam is a single offset cam that was originally designed for dairies where pumping out of a sump pit with a float switch, and it stops and then it starts again. This situation where you end up with a couple of big puddles from the irrigator because it doesn't rotate properly. This irrigator behind me is the quad by 4 irrigator. Quad being the 4 wheels rather than 3, and by 4 is the 4 arms rather than 2. Now this irrigator can put out a lot more water than the standard low pressure travelling irrigators because it has 4 arms. It has a 3-inch inlet which goes into a 5-inch chamber, and from that 5-inch chamber it spreads into 4 2-inch arms. We also have 4 speeds. These speeds are slightly quicker than the other irrigators that are on the market. So we've got an added advantage. We can either put down twice as much water as normal, or we can put it down in half the time. It's purely mechanical, just like the other irrigators. There's no gearbox, no hydraulics, no water winch. It's a slightly different system, but it works on exactly the same principle. If you notice with the quad by 4, we've got 4 cams, 1, 2, 3 and 4. The other irrigators have 2. So therefore, every revolution, it's going to be pushing this rocker arm forward twice as many times. That's how we achieve twice the speed. However, the other thing is to change the speed. All we need to do is remove them. There's only a few bolts. There's 4 bolts on each cam. Remove a cam. It's just a steel plate, hardened steel plate, and that will reduce the speed. So you can reduce it by taking 1, 2 or 3 of them off. One of our most popular irrigators is the VCI Mark II. It's got 5 speeds and a 14 metre boom, and it works on exactly the same principle as our other irrigators.